You all, please, if you don't mind, just take your seat, and those who are watching on Facebook Live, welcome back. And if we can just all direct our attention to the most important person in the room. Okay.
We're back.
Okay, his name is JD. He's really, really important. Okay, guys. So therefore, everyone had a nice coffee break, and you had your muffin or whatever it was. They've got a nice little coffee shop downstairs. Okay, so I think, please God, this will work. If you're going to be in the servicing industry, there is a sort of a prerequisite that you promote yourself as some form of expert. Who thinks that if they're an accountant or lawyer or you're in the business of providing advice, that it's pretty important that you highlight to people you've got half a clue what you're talking about? Yeah. And who would pay more money for Gordon Ramsay to cook their meal tonight than just anyone? Of course we would. And that's what happens when you are a so-called expert. Now, there's a few of these seminar speakers that I hear from time to time that say, oh, look, promote yourself as the expert, and even if you're really not, just fake it till you make it. Well, I don't think you'd want your heart surgeon doing that, would you? Okay, so I'm not suggesting you should fake it till you make it, but if you're half good at what you do, then there's nothing wrong with promoting yourself as the expert. And, I know when I put advertisements for this sort of stuff in airline magazines, and we don't do it so much now. It's much easier to use Facebook and Instagram, but when I was taking out full pages in the Virgin magazine or Jetstar magazine, Virgin was always good because it would bring a good quality person into the room. Jetstar, we just advertised in there because the prices were cheap, and it normally brought people to seminars in their pyjamas. And they carried a pillow because that's what most Jetstar people do. I don't know what that's all about. They're flying from the Gold Coast to Sydney and they've got a pillow. It must be their first flight. I keep on saying to them, please just go down to the Greyhound bus terminal. It's that way. You should not be on this plane. Who thinks that Virgin have really got their act together but Jetstar haven't? Yes. And you notice that in Virgin, everyone that works for Virgin is good looking? Have you noticed that? They all look like they've come from Sanctuary Cove. They're all good looking people. And then you go to Jetstar and just fugly after fugly. And I don't know what that is. I'm not sure. I keep on saying to my kids, you want to grow up to be Virgin, not Jetstar. Because I always find it interesting with Jetstar too, is that like in Virgin, was that the Jetstar in Virgin, everyone that works for them looks like Miss World, whereas in Jetstar, the lady in the frame coming down the plane is the hostess. It's just, yeah. Well, that just made every lady in the room hate me even more. Okay, so if you are going to be an expert, then you want to promote yourself as that expert, okay? And I'm not asking you to fake it. So what we do is that when we actually decided to go out the road and do this some years ago, I was told that I had to write a book. And so therefore, if I'm Mr. Wow, I decided that that book should be a big book. And so therefore, we wrote a book like this. And this is I guess, basically a dossier or manifesto of the last 15 years of all of the most successful advertising campaigns that I've put together for businesses. So it's a gigantic swipe file, if you like, okay? And you've got this on your desk in your office, so you've got a pretty good swipe file there to just grab stuff and use. And this is one. I do have other books, but they're not here. I don't have them up the front. But I do write normal size books. But this one here has got a much better chance of catapulting me to expert status. Would anyone agree? Yeah. Okay, well, Jody, if she could just, Jody will run down the aisle here. Can everybody say, Jody's actually a shy little devil, she works with me. Could you just sort of no, not react at all, just leave it like that, okay? So, and I had to highlight that Jody works for me because there's a good chance when she came up the aisle there, you wouldn't have seen her anyway, she's height challenged. So therefore, did I not tell you people when you came in this morning this would be politically incorrect? And you all decided to stay, so get ready to be insulted. So therefore, this book here, when I give this to my artist, I'll say to him, I want this to look like a $29 book, okay? I want this to look like Kmart. This book here, which is only available to people who come on my program, the brief I give to the artist is, I want Walt Disney to meet Harry Potter at the Palazzo Versace, okay? And the reason I say that is because it's message to market match. If I'm selling a $30 book, then here it is. If I'm promoting myself as the expert and I want you guys to join my coaching program and you get access to all of this sort of stuff, then I'm going to make sure that it looks like it's something out of this world. And so therefore, what I thought I'd do is just play a little 60-second tape here for you, and you'll see what's in this book, and then I'll actually mention to you how you should be doing the same thing for your business. Now let me tell you about the WOW Manifesto, this gigantic dossier of winning case studies. It has 10 chapters in it, and those chapters go through a whole host of things. Basically, the who, why, and where is all about research and why you need to actually concentrate on your R&D before you put together a campaign. Chapter 2 is Be the Expert. We show you exactly how people gravitate to experts. And you've got, consider Steve Irwin and Gordon Ramsay and so forth to know that. Third chapter talks about how to create a wow factor and take their eyes off the price. The last thing you want to be doing is to be marketing your product or service on price. You want to get their eyes right off the price. McDonald's with the Happy Meal toy have been taking all of our eyes off the price for many years. Getting emotional, chapter 4, we talk about emotional direct response marketing tactics, and that's all about problem solution advertising, giving people a problem and then providing them with the solution. Lots of case studies there that you can just swipe and use in your business to promote your products or services. The fifth chapter is all about being outrageously different online. I guess that's my nice way of saying fix your website, because around about 85 or 90% of business websites, in my opinion, are just woeful. They don't have the direct response inclusions that they do. Chapter 6 is all about how to hold events, and I show you how to do that. Chapter 7, we show you how to get video testimonials and just what you need to ask people to say when they give you a video testimonial. Chapter 8 gets you into my free publicity vault, and I show you how you get free publicity for your products or services. It's really easy when you know how. Chapter 9 is all about how you deliver Disney-style customer service, which is really customer experiences. And chapter 10 is all about showing you how to build repetitive trade, how to get people coming back and back and back to your business, not just making one sale with them, but making sure they become loyal and they become a customer that just deals with you for many moons to come. That's what you want. You want repetitive trade. You don't want just one sale. Now, I'll give you lots of case studies in this chapter that you can just steal and use for your own business. And there's a bonus chapter in there all about me showing off about Jerry Seinfeld. You wouldn't expect me to do anything else when I'm writing a book, but to at least have some component of it showing off that I did work with Jerry Seinfeld. Okay, so therefore you'll see that if you're going to put together a dossier or manifesto, or make sure that you cram it full of content. No one's much interested in your bio unless you've done that whole comeback that maybe the Australia 2 people did in that America's Cup all those years ago. Yes, by all means, we want to see a little bit of your credibility build and who you've worked for and how you've learnt what you've learned. But pretty much what people want to get from you is access to your IP, your intellectual property. So. What I'd like to do, because I am, really a nice person, just ask me, I'd like to give this to each and every single one of you here today. I'd like to do that, but I can't. But I can do that, of course, when you join the program. Okay, so therefore you'll get a whole lot of stuff. Listen, before I go any further, there's a very good friend of mine who surprised me, who walked into the back of the room whilst I was having morning tea. And I know that he didn't expect me to do this, but I'm going to give him a microphone. If Gail can organise for one of the guys there to give you a microphone. No, that's not. He's not a good friend at all, that guy. He's a good friend, but he's sort of dickhead. So therefore, well, no, Ralph's a dickhead as well, but nonetheless, he's a good friend. Ralph, do you mind just taking the microphone for a second? And the only reason I'm doing this is because Ralph is used to using microphones because he does this sort of stuff himself. He's the leading expert in Australia when it comes to a whole bunch of stuff, but one particular area that he's involved in at the moment is the fruit and veggie business, and he's an expert at that because he's had multi-million-dollar businesses in that field. And Ralph, I know you probably won't be able to stick around for long. You just said you're going to pop in. I haven't seen Ralph for a couple of years because we've just moved on from I guess, doing stuff together that we were doing quite regularly. Ralph, I know I'm putting you on the spot. This direct response stuff, though, that you're pretty familiar with, how powerful do you think that is in terms of versus brand building and brand building only? You know my mantra, you know all this stuff. And I've asked you now because A, I don't know when you've got to leave, and I just want to grab you before you did. But B, we've just thrown that book up there, which direct response. In your businesses, which have been multi-million-dollar businesses, how much impact does direct response have?
Come on the front so people...
Yeah, please. Yeah. So. And look, Ralph is pretty shy, by the way, and so therefore, could you make him feel welcome? Okay, well that's enough. I mean, just welcome. I mean, it's not like he's the star of the show. Okay, yeah.
Expected. Thanks for having me up here.
It's all right.
It's been a little while. Look, my experience in businesses, and I've built 27, 28 companies over a 30-year period. and some of them, you know, quite large, $150 million to down to 4 million. What John has in his toolbox is amazing. My business has lived and breathed a lot of the stuff that John is sharing here today. I can't recommend him highly enough, not because I've just walked into the room and I'm here to give him a pat on the back, but the stuff that this guy does is real. You won't find this with a lot of marketing organisations because they'll tell you the latest thing and the brightest and shiniest object. John's lived it, John's breathed it, I've used it, I've experienced it in my own businesses. I just can't speak highly enough of it. It does work, that's the reality of it. What you're getting is real. Somebody that's lived it, that's breathed it, experienced it, the highs, the lows, the mistakes that he's made. What he's trying to do is share them with you so you don't go and make those same mistakes because he's experienced it. So take away anything that you want from this, but most importantly, understand that what he is sharing is real.
Oh, well, thank you, mate. That's very nice. Yeah, well, yeah. Look, well, it's very nice of you to say that. And I wasn't so much looking for the testimonial, but I'm very grateful for it.
Well, it's the only way that I can share it because I can stand up here and say that it works and you know, all of that, and it does. There is no doubt about it. It is extremely important to understand the method behind the message to market match. That's the important part. But understanding who's sharing it with you is even more important.
Can I ask you this in terms of the businesses that you've been involved in, and the $150 million one was one that was involved in fresh food. So have you found throughout your career that direct response practically every single time is going to put more food on the table than just building the brand over sponsoring the Olympics?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Because the sponsoring the Olympics is great as brand building, but direct response is where your money's coming through your doors every single day, and that's the most important part. The brand building is, most people don't understand the difference between brand building and, you know, building your business. There's two separate components to that. Brand building is important, but building your business and getting the dollars through the door is
And Ralph, you weren't here earlier when I was just saying to the guys what we were teaching them today is to flip that model that most advertising agencies will tell you, and that is get them to fall in love with your brand so they'll taste your product. And the reason that you are so perfect for being here with a microphone now is because you lived and breathed in the fruit and veggie game. Flipping that model of getting them to fall in love with your brand so they'll taste your product, of getting them to taste your product so they'll fall in love with your brand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I guess one of the most important parts, and I don't know if you've touched on it, but I'm sure you will, is part of that is customer service, and it's second to none, and it all plays in tune with understanding what your clients want. And again, it gets back to message and market match. It's probably the biggest takeaway that you can have from here today is message to market match.
The right message to the right market.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's a great point. Right message to the right market, because I've seen a lot of people that are trying to market something that is to the wrong people.
Yeah.
You know, so many businesses marketing something to the wrong people. Know your demographics, understand your demographics. You know, I hope that's helped.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, mate. Thanks,
Thanks,
Ralph. Thank you. And the reason I wanted to get Ralph to mention that because, when you're running 150, it wasn't that when he kicked the business off, of course. When he built a business up to be, over $100 and something million in revenue, and it happens to be in the fruit and veggie trade, then there's no one that would be a better advocate for getting them to taste your product to get them to fall in love with the brand. And Ralph was very good at that. And Ralph actually was involved with me a couple of years ago. It's probably the last time we met Ralph was when we had the Disney guy out, a very good friend of both of ours called John. Used to run the Disney resorts in America, in Orlando, for 10 years. And I brought him out to Australia, and we've become good mates ever since. He's about my vintage, and he hadn't been to Australia before, so he just thought it was fantastic. He couldn't believe our language, could he, Ralph? Because he came up to Ralph and myself and a few others that were on the tour, and he said, let me get this straight. So in Australia, if you really like a buddy, you just tell them to go F themselves. And I said, yeah, pretty much. He goes, okay, I'll have to write that down. I said, no, don't try that back at home. It may not work. He said, we didn't do that at Disney. No, I don't think you would. So he really enjoyed being with us, but we actually ran a tour around capital cities, and it was called If Disney Ran Your Business, What Would It Look Like? Now, we all know that Disney knows how to run their business with an incredible customer service ethic, And what they say, and what he used to do on stage, is say, look, we don't believe in giving good customer service. That's what we all expect. We believe in giving knock your socks off, unbelievable customer experiences. So when was the last time you went to a restaurant and after you finished your meal and your coffee, they came up and gave you another coffee for free? Never. This is incredible. When have you been at a restaurant and they said to you, look, would you like desserts? And you say no, but they go, look, you know what? We're going to bring out a little tasting platter. Again, taste testing. If 2 or 3 little, different sort of, morsels of dessert. And they say, look, that's on the house. We know you're worried about your weight these days, but these 2 or 3 little pieces won't hurt you. Do you think that's the restaurant you're going to be talking about when you go to work the next day? Of course, nobody does it. When did the lawn mowing guy actually say to Mrs. Smith, I'll tell you what, I've finished your lawns, but I've got a squeegee thing with a bucket of soap here. I'm going to clean your windows. It'll take him 20 minutes. You don't have to do a university course to clean windows. And do you think she'll ever get another lawn mowing guy? No. When was the last time the electrician or plumber came into your house to fix something, and before they left a box of chocolate milk tray, Cadbury chocolates on the kitchen counter and said, you could have chosen any plumber, but you chose me. Thank you very much. Did that ever happen? No. When was the last time you put your car in for service and you paid $4 bazillion because that's what they charge, okay? And when you came to pick up your car, there was a box of chocolates on the passenger seat or 2 theatre tickets to the Hoyt Cinema to say thank you very much. You gave me $4,800 to do a grease and oil change. Here's 2 gold class tickets to go to the cinema. Nobody does it. Nobody surprises you. There was a guy who came on this program, he was doing a car wash business, like the automatic car wash. You put your car through and they, whatever it is, $20. And he said to me, I wish we could just get them back more often. I said, you can, you dickhead. If you just collected their details, and put them on a loyalty scheme. Every time the car went through, okay, and they came out the other end, they got a point. And when they saved up 10 points, which means they spent $250 with you, because it's $25 a time these days to go through the soap sud thing, you give them 2 theatre tickets. It's so simple. But everyone just lets people come in and out of their business. They don't collect any data because they're suffering from dickheaditis. Okay, if you're going to hold events, when you hold events, you want to make sure they're full of content. Have a look at when people join our program, which you'll hear about before lunchtime. We have 3 2-day events on the Gold Coast each year. One in May, one in August and one in November. And what happens, I bring in all the experts, people like Ralph, people like Facebook experts, website designers. I'll bring in copywriters, I'll bring in radio producers, all sorts of people that are on our Rolodex. So what we have is a Rolodex, and everyone who's on there basically covers any possible thing you want. You want direct response copywriting, then there's direct response copywriters. Not copywriters, direct response copywriters, okay? And if you want a website design, we've got website designers on there. If you need artwork, we've got graphic artists. If you need to doodle video contact in the Philippines, they're on there. They're on our Rolodex, and they're only on there because they've got 3 things that they satisfy me with. They're good, they're fast, and they're cheap. Because who gets frightened when you talk to a graphic artist how much they're going to charge? Does anyone get a little bit frightened about, yeah. Well, see, in the graphic art world, the reason that you're frightened shitless about them is because there's no benchmark. You see, there's a benchmark for washing machines. There's a benchmark for a lawnmower. But there's no benchmark for creative things. You go to a video company like these guys here today, you'll get a wedding video quoted from $1,000 to $20,000 because there's no benchmark. It just depends on, in their instance, your capacity to pay. So in the instance of these people, I just make sure that when you are doing artwork, for example, the guys that I've got on my Rolodex are good, they're fast and they're cheap. Because this artwork here, in New York or London or even Sydney here, if you went to an advertising agency, you're probably going to get charged $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. That's $250 from a guy in Newcastle. $250, okay? Now, because I can draw, and you'll see examples of that in a little while, where we do websites in 60 seconds, so you'll see how fast I can draw. They get a better brief from me than they might get from you, but nonetheless, $250. They're the people you want to hang around with, and each of these people that I have on my list are chameleons. They can change colours. In other words, I can look after, the $2 shop this morning, but then tonight I can look after the Hilton Hotel, but it's coming from the same brain, okay? And that's proof of it. There's Big W, this is Palazzo Versace. Same artist, exactly the same artist. And when I go to that artist and I say to him, look, I want to do a dinosaur book for News Limited, and I want it to be really scary, that's what it comes out like. Okay? He knows how I will sell dinosaurs. You will not sell dinosaurs if they're just eating grass. Okay? This is a sticker book, and this was a big thing that we did through News Limited. Again, a very successful promotion, which I made $500,000 in 4 weeks out of this. We just gave the sticker book away with the newspaper, and then 2 free stickers, and then guess what? The kids were dead in the water. They had to collect all the rest of the stickers. But when I went to News Limited with this, they said, I don't think we'd have Attack of the Dinosaurs. That's a little bit iffy. We have to have Age of the Dinosaurs. I said, good, find some other promoter. We aren't having Age of the Dinosaurs. These things are eating each other, okay? They're fighting, okay? These are what we call mundane dinosaurs, okay? So the thing is that you want to hang around with chameleons that can change from that to that in a heartbeat. And all of the people on this list that I've got do. And if you don't have a list like that, then you're in trouble. Because that means is that when I say to, you know, anybody of my kids, for example, as you get older, make sure you hang around with the Beatles, not Sting. Because the Beatles, obla dear, obla da, is nothing like back in the USSR. They could change in a heartbeat. If you have a look at, we went to see Paul McCartney before Christmas, and you know, my Gen Y kids were with us, and they couldn't believe the variance of, you know, him going from one Penny Lane is nothing like back in the USSR. Okay, you go to a Sting concert, every song's the same, right? So don't hang around Sting, hang around the Beatles, and that's what this, you know, Rolodex list is all about. These people who hang with me can go from the $2 shop in the morning to David Jones in the afternoon. And this is one of the 2-day conferences that we have on the Gold Coast, and I just thought I'd play it for you so you understand what the content's like.
Oh, look, as an introductory to the first time experience with WOW, I said it's been great. There's been an avalanche of ideas and networking and getting ideas from everybody. I can see myself applying some of these things straight away. It's been terrific. Just having the environment to collaborate with like-minded people and small businessmen, because I've always found that sometimes being at the top of your business, it can be a little bit lonely. You're the one that's meant to have all the ideas. So when you're sitting down and sharing ideas with people that are in the same position, that's where you get your inspiration from. So it's ideal. Yeah, even just today, just picking up some great ideas and some things that we can apply straight away. Even the discussions around loyalty and referrals and reward systems and resellers and things like that. You know, these are things that we can put into place straight away. We've already got those customers there. We're lucky enough to already have their details. We've just got to start using them. Well, the great thing about today was the fact that we just covered you know, the above the line and below the line, or online and offline techniques. So we've actually not only the old school stuff and talked about leaflets and letterbox drops, but we've actually gone right around and talked about the latest cutting edge Facebook and webinars and technology and how to get into IT and integration working in your business. So that's something that we need to do. We're on Facebook, but we're not really on Facebook, we're not using it. So the goal that we've learned today is going to be applied straight away.
Okay. Now, what I thought I'd do is go through to number 2, which is creating the WOW, and explain to you how you can do that for your business. It's really, really simple. These guys here have been doing it for, 30 years, taking our eyes off the price because they put the toy. I used to be at the national level of marketing for Woolworths, and I had left when they brought this in, but nonetheless it's been a screaming success for them, and that is, isn't it ironic? You've got a supermarket chain that actually concentrates on price discounting, now trying to take your eyes off the price. Okay, that's what that petrol thing's all about. This is probably one of the most successful clients that I've had over the years, and the great thing with these people is that they were a private coaching client, and I gave it away a few years ago because this sort of took off for me, and I was doing their marketing for about 11 or 12 years, and towards the end of my time, the last few years that I was there, they were paying me $34K a month. So that was a $400 and something thousand client. And when I said to my wife, look, I'm going to get into the seminar game and cut up all of my intellectual property for smaller businesses, because I think we can make a bucket load more money by selling, you know, smaller packages to a lot more businesses than have maybe a dozen clients who milked you. I mean, you know, if they're paying you $34K a month, which is $400 a year, they could ring me at midnight and I'd answer the phone, and so would you if you're getting that sort of consultancy fee. By the way, when you think, well, you got a good deal out of these people, fact is that when I got Seinfeld to do their advertising a few years ago, within 18 months, their net worth went from 3.8 to 5.2 billion. That's a lot of money, okay? Now, it didn't mean anything to them because they're a mutual, okay? If a building society and a credit union are mutuals, they don't have shareholders. If they had shareholders, they should have been building a statue of me. But because they're a mutual, then that sort of capital growth in their business is, you know, I'm not saying it's meaningless, but it's not as meaningful as if it was a, you know, shareholder-driven business. But anyway, let me ask you whether or not you think that is reminiscent of what bank advertising looks like. No, it's not. You won't find any other bank that looks like that. And you know why? Because I convinced them that they were a challenger brand. And if you're a challenger brand like Richard Branson, you do things differently. Because guess what? Richard Branson has exactly the same airplanes as everyone else. So don't tell me that, oh, well, you know, we're in a Me Too industry. We're all in a Me Too industry. I'm in the advertising industry, which is full of wankers, okay? And you're sitting there going, yeah, we've got one in front of us today. You know? But the fact of the matter is that most of them will just bullshit to you and tell you that you've got to build your brand. So why don't you sponsor the local little netball teams or put your logo on the back of the Brisbane Broncos? All of this meaningless stuff that unless you've got enough money to piss it up against the wall, you're not going to make any money out of that. Who thinks that even at this time, you've been here now a couple of hours with me, who thinks that this is common sense on steroids? That's all it is. It's common sense on steroids. That's all it is, okay? So this bank, what was happening is that they were actually giving away a 1% honeymoon rate. When I got involved with them and, you know, basically when they're a private client like this, obviously you spend a little bit more time with them, I said, who is your target audience? And they said, people who are getting married and falling in love or what have you, and they want a home loan. And I go, dun, dun. And they go, what was wrong with that? I said, you're suffering from what we call it's gone from dickheaditis, because in your instance, moronitis, okay? Because you're not after Gen Ys. Who wants a Gen Y as a customer? Except if you were Billabong or Hot Tuna or someone like that, or a nightclub, they have the attention span of a goldfish, okay? They have the loyalty of a gnat. My 25-year-old daughter has been to 124 hairdressing salons with Groupon over the last 6 months. She is not a customer you want. She sees a butterfly and, oh, off you go. You know? And that Groupon audience are a nightmare, okay? Because you try getting them to remain loyal to you. Whereas if a 40-year-old has been drinking Coke for a long time, they're going to drink Coke until they die. Maybe until they're 41. So now you know why I didn't want video and photos, right? Yeah. So this mob here, I said to them, you've got to be like Richard Branson. You've got the same product, a home loan, as everyone else. You've got to market yourself differently. And what Richard Branson was very clever in doing, or his advertising agency was, when they came in to Australia, is that guess what? They said, keep the air fair. What were they inferring that Qantas had been doing to us? They didn't say it, but what were they inferring? They've been ripping us off. So we all went, okay, we'll try this new guy, you know. And they stole market share like there was no tomorrow, because Qantas were asleep at the wheel, in my opinion. So that's what we did here. When I said to them, what is your acquisition plan for home loans? They said, oh, you'll be excited by this. We're really entrepreneurial. We've got a 1% honeymoon rate. Every bank has a 1% honeymoon rate, which means that on a $500,000 loan, they're going to give you a $5,000 break in the first year, okay? Well, I said, give me that $5,000 and I'll give it to a travel wholesale company that'll give you a $10,000 holiday. I've been doing some Kerry Ann commercials on Channel 9, and we had an association with a holiday company that could give you very cheap holidays, and that's what we did. So it means that when we swapped from interest rate marketing to get a home loan and get a free holiday, it was cost neutral. It didn't cost them any more money. We just transferred what was usually a drop your pants price discount and put it into a Happy Meal toy. Do we get that? Okay, that's what you need to do. So therefore, we just did TV commercials like this. Have a look if you can see if there's any price in this TV commercial. They were the only bank in the world that for 11 years never advertised an interest rate. Can you imagine trying to convince accountants and bankers that? We're not going to advertise price for 11 years. They would just want to point the door, say, get out of here. For 11 years, all we said is get a home loan or swap from the nasty banks because they're charging you fees and all those things that we don't do. Come across to the grader and you'll get a free holiday. If you just had a fight with your bank, and we all do, and you saw this TV ad, ask yourself whether you might ring us up the next morning.
We're all going on a summer holiday. We stayed in Brits on Broadbeach, and as I said, it was just wonderful. We opened the door and there it was, right over the beach and right over the city lights, and we couldn't believe our eyes, really.
Get a home loan from the Greater Hurley Society and choose yourself a free holiday. No catches, no competitions. Call the Greater on 13 13 86.
Now, 2 questions there. Did you see any price in that? Okay, we melted the switchboard the next morning when that came on tonight at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, whatever it might be, okay? And also, did you see on there that what you would have thought is a typical direct response marketing like Rugs A Million? Got a 48-hour sale this weekend. If we don't go broke this weekend, we'll go broke next week. It's a 48-hour sale. You've got to get rugs are half price, they're quarter price. No, because I know when you're sitting there thinking, oh, this direct response stuff, but isn't it corny? Well, it can be if it's basically an ab swing, or if it's a weight loss program, or it's Rugs A Million. Yes, that can be corny, but it doesn't have to be corny. It would be the Palazzo Versace, a 7-star hotel on the Gold Coast, instead of dropping their pants during winter to try and get you Sydney people to come up to the Gold Coast, what they should be doing, instead of half pricing, they should be saying, you know what, come to the Gold Coast, to the Palazzo Versace, because it's warmer in winter in the Gold Coast. We'll pick you up with one of our silver Ghost Rolls Royces from the airport. We'll give you your own personal butler service on the weekend, which means they'd have 2 butlers in the whole hotel, right? And we'll give you free tickets to the Jupiter's Casino show. That won't cost them anything like a price discount, and it will protect their brand. Because the moment the Palazzo Versace drops their price, they take their brand from the penthouse to the shit house without taking the elevator. Okay? And you don't want that. You don't want that for your brand. Because, you know, you start getting into that game. I mean, David Jones and Meyer woke up to it. They were having too many sales, and someone like me must have got involved and said, if you're going to protect this 4-star brand that you have, then you can get rid of dead stock when you want, but, twice a year, not when you want. So what they do now is have a Boxing Day sale and a half-year sale. And that's fine. I'm not saying that you wouldn't have a sale. We all need to get rid of dead stock. I understand that. Or we need to beef business in slow periods if you happen to be in the service industry. So I'm not saying that at all. Just don't do it every week. Just don't become Crazy Clark's $2 store, because if you do that, then it's going to be battling to retain margin. You want to retain margin, and you won't keep them. Because guess what sort of customer you attract when you price discount? Who do you think Groupon attracts? Okay, they attract an audience which are not going to be loyal. They're going to jump to the next Groupon or the next Scudo. You don't want that. You want an audience that will stick with you. Okie dokie. So therefore, oopsie daisy. Give me a sec. Okay, I've got to show you this one. They're a Gosford couple, and a lovely couple, and they swapped their home loan to the Grader, and what we do is get them to tell their story on the TV commercial of what it was like when they were with a bank. So remember we talked about shit to gold advertising? They're going to tell you what life was like when it was shit, and then they're going to tell you what life's like when they swap to the Grader. We can't really ever get the husbands to talk. They just don't talk. Men don't talk, apparently, when they're on TV. And this guy here had quite a few big Kawasaki bikes outside, and we thought it'd be best not to get him to talk anyway, because, with my sarcasm, there's every chance he'd want to kill me. So therefore, we just said, tell us what your experience was like with the banks. And when we put this ad on it, it just melted the switchboard. We actually kept on using this ad for about 3 years, because it was just, wait till you see it.
Why leave your bank for the Grader?
Why would I put money into the bank where they charge me for every transaction? They charge me if I use internet banking, they charge me if I use phone banking, they charge me if I use an ATM, they charge me more if I line up for 20 minutes and hand money over the counter. It's a wonder they don't charge me to walk past the bank.
Swap your home loan to the Grader and forget about all these fees. Swap now, save on fees, and get a free holiday. Call 1386.
So you can see the emphasis on the Happy Meal toy. Okay, so therefore, because when you get money from a bank, it's not like Cadbury and Nestle. That looks the same from Westpac as it does from the Greater Building Society. There's no difference in the product, whereas you know there's a difference between Cadbury and other chocolates. So if you've got a same old product, you have to have a Happy Meal toy. Your wheelbarrow has to come with a free shovel. And if it doesn't, then Bunnings are going to kill you every single time. Okay, towards the latter part of the consultancy time that I had with the Grader, they said to me, look, we'd like to see now if we can get to professionals, because a building society credit union audience is pretty much working class people. Okay, that just happens to be the way it is. The people in suits tend to go to one of the big 4 banks. So in the Grader's instance, they've got 330,000 people, and most of them don't have teeth. So therefore, that's their audience. Okay, I'm being cheeky. Okay, there's a few. Well, there's a lot of Newcastle Knights supporters in there. So therefore, okay. So therefore, when I was doing the Seinfeld thing, I said to them, well, look, what we can do is not get you to professionals. There's no doctor or dentist who's ever going to go with a home loan with a building society. They're going to stick with the big banks. What we can do is probably get to a middle-class white-collar worker. And I said a mate of mine had been doing Billy Connolly commercials for ING, so therefore they understood what that was all about. You might remember that campaign. So why don't we look for a celebrity? That way we can be wild, not mild. And they said, yeah. I said, that can fast-track your entry into white-collar workers. So that's what we did. It took me quite a while to get Seinfeld across the line, but eventually we did. And in his contract it says that if he has to travel 50 miles from home, you have to give him a Learjet. He can't travel on normal transport for obvious reasons. He's bigger than the Pope, okay? So therefore, we costed to bring him out to Australia, and it was millions. So we decided to actually build a building society in a little country town that was 49 miles away from where he lived. So we didn't have to provide a Learjet. So we closed down the town. It was just like a little town like Katoomba, something like that, or Barrel. And we took out a little shop in there which was empty, and we just rebuilt the Greater Building Society. And the gag was Seinfeld was outside that doing street talk, and people just walking past and didn't care. He'd come out of retirement to be a comedian again, and nobody cared. So that was the premise for the whole ad. But anyway, what happened is that this is it. So that used to be an old delicatessen in a little street in New York. We turned it into the Greater Building Society. Have a look at this ad and you tell me if it looks like a normal bank ad. And I think the answer will be no. This might be a Challenger brand.
I'd like to talk to you about a home loan. Not for me, for you. I have a home.
Yeah, Getaway's home loan from the Greater. It could be the most fun financial decision you'll ever make. Just ask a Greater customer.
When we shopped around for a home loan, we found the Greater had one of the lowest interest rates.
And a free holiday with over 200 choices, and there were no catches.
Get a Getaway's home loan and go on a free holiday. Or loan us some money and we'll go on a holiday. Either way, someone's getting out of here.
Who thinks that looks like a normal bank commercial? No. You don't want to look like a normal butcher or baker, or you don't want to look normal at all. And a few of you in here today, you've achieved that already. I don't know how I sell anything, seriously, I just don't know. Well, Sally, you've been on my thing for a few months now. Have I ever said anything nice to anyone? No, so there you go. Okay, Sally says, well, certainly not to me. Okay, so therefore the results of that were, and Seinfeld was in the latter part of my relationship with the Greater, so I was with them for about 11 or 12 years, and this was the last few, and it was a few years ago. They tripled their home loan market share in the first 24 months. Just incredible, just an incredible result. Now, people say to me, well, what did you pay Seinfeld? Do you know that Ricky Ponting gets more from Synovus Vitamins in Australia than what we paid him? Jennifer Hawkins gets more from Myer than what we paid Jerry. And when I asked Jerry why did he do this, because obviously he's got more money than God, he just said, no one from Australia's ever asked me before, and you asked me to bag the crap out of banks, and that's what I do for a living. I just criticise things. So I said, well, we're going to get on well together. Well, I just criticise things too. So that's what happened, and he was a real joy to work with. He's a funny guy, and just down to earth. And what we used to do whenever we actually, because he said to me, well, I'm not real fussed on having all these other people in the ads. And I explained to him that he was the attention-seeking device, but we had to have real people in the ads. So one of the things that all of you have made a mistake with when I look at your websites, and most real estate agents definitely make a mistake with because they never put people in their ads, is that the first rule of advertising is put your target audience in your ad. So therefore, if you're after working class people, you're not going to put someone in a suit in the Building Society ad. You're going to show a truck driver, or you're going to show an electrician with his wife. You're going to see people who are normal working class people. So the thing is that you need to feature whoever your target audience is in all your imagery, or at least most of it. Whereas a lot of people, guess what? I had, and he might be here today. I don't know, there was someone that spoke to me last week who said they were coming, and he has one of the new businesses where they pre-make the meals for you and then they deliver them to you on a Tuesday and a Thursday. And if you're a busy executive, then of course you put them in the oven and you just, there it is, it's all pre-prepared meals. Guess what his website had all over it? Nothing more than a checkerboard of pre-prepared meals. I said, who's your target audience? He said, well, the woman makes the decision, so it's normally a busy executive woman. I said, there's not a woman on your website. There's no human on your website. Mistake number one, like big time. So if you're gearing towards a particular target audience, make sure they're all over your website. So that's why I had to say to Seinfeld, I know you're Jerry Seinfeld, but we need to show working class people in the ads. And then he bought it. And when we were in the working class people's homes when I'm doing all these ads, because we take the camera crew in, I'd always take the piss out of them at the end of it because people are scared shitless when they turn the camera on. And I'd just say to them, look, I'd like to say you're the best we've ever, a bit like my book here, I'd like to give you the book. I'd say to them, look, I'd like to say you're the best we've ever had. And they think I was serious and go, oh, that's really wonderful, thank you very much. I said, no, you misunderstood. I said I'd like to say that I can't, you're awful. The camera crew thought I was pretty cruel. You make up your own mind. I am. I'd just like to say that was the best performance from anyone that we've ever had in one of these TV events.
Oh, thanks. I really appreciate it.
No, you misunderstand me. I said I'd like to say that I can't. You're pretty good at it. Yeah. We might have to do it all again. Crew, can we get back again? So I thought that was good fun. I enjoyed taking the piss out of people. So when we were in New York, the camera crew decided it was my time to be paid back. So I had to live with it.
Julian, I just want to say that you're the most professional, most confident, just best to work with marketing person I've ever worked with.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd like to say.
Okay. If someone's going to do a gag like that and you've got it forever to show off, of course you're going to say yes. Okay, so therefore what I want to do is show you a business-to-business case study, and this one is quite an incredible one, but very, very simple. It was a turf farm, and this turf farm is on the Tambourine Mountains in the Gold Coast, and the owner of this turf farm came on for private coaching. So therefore I've got two packages, one which is group coaching, but you get 24/7 access to me via a Facebook page, which means I'm your quasi-marketing manager. You ever have a problem, you ask a question, and I won't ask for the microphone, but Sally, you know what that works. Whenever you have a question, you or Darryl just posts it on Facebook, and I'm back to them normally within what? A year or two? I'm normally back a day later, sometimes an hour later, just depends where I am in the world, right? And then there's a private coaching, which people pay $2.50 a month, and I become basically their full-time marketing manager in terms of getting access to me. They've got unlimited access, so they can ring any time. So in this instance here, this guy was a private coaching client, so he got a little bit more of my attention. And he was a turf farm, and he said, listen, I've just bought this turf farm that goes on for about 6 kilometres. He said, I'm not moving any grass. And I said to him, when I visited him, I said to him, well, how much turf do you have? And it was just mountain ranges on each side of his office. He said, as far as the eye can see there, and as far as the eye could see there, and it was mountains and mountains of turf. And he said, this was a few years ago, and he said, mate, I'm stuck with this, and if I don't move it, I can't replant it, because you can imagine with a turf farm, they want to move it, replant, okay? And I said, okay, well, listen, who's your biggest, most profitable target audience? He said, well, not the mums and dads, because who replaces the front lawn every now and again? Not many people. It's landscapers, because they're buying two or three or four homes at the same time. And I said, what's your problem? Guess what his problem was in the turf business? Because Sir Walter turf looks the same from one farm to the other. Grass is grass. What do you think his problem was? He was having to drop his prices all the time. He said, the damn trouble is landscapers, they're tight asses. And he said they would ring up and say, how much per square metre? And he'd say $5.50, and they'd go, we can get it down the road for $5. So he said, I'll come in at $4.80. Then they'd ring back and say, we can get it for $4.50. It was a race to the bottom. I said, well, you've got to take the landscaper's eyes off the price. He said, I like that building society. I've seen you on TV with the free holiday. He said, we don't have enough margin to give away a free holiday. And I said, no, you've got to cut the cloth accordingly. So let's come up with a Happy Meal toy. And so this is what we did. Oh, damn it. This is what we did. So what we did is that we sent out that brochure to landscapers. And we also put it into the email. We said to the landscapers, for every 1 home's worth of grass, which front and backyard comes in about 500 square metres, we'll give you a carton of Crown Lager. Now, a landscaper normally drinks 4X, or normally drinks 2Es. Okay? Crown Lager is prestige beer. They thought this was Christmas. We're treating them like the King of England. And so therefore we bought a mail list, or rented a mail list, and I don't know whether you guys are familiar with, you can rent any mail list you like of phone number, address, title, email. Anybody renting lists at the moment? Okay, well, there's a world out there that you should be introduced to. It's called the list broking world. If you say to me, I want to get a list of left-handed tennis enthusiasts who live in the northern suburbs and play chess once a week, I can get that list for you, okay? And that list will cost you about $300 a thousand, cheap as chips. If you want every accountant in North Queensland who deals with tax minimisation, I can give you their name, their address, and their phone number, and in some instances their email. And so there are list brokers out there that provide this information for you. So all we did is that we actually got a list of 500 landscapers in Brisbane and the Gold Coast. He only sent out 250 of these, and 8 days into the promotion he rang me up. He said, we've got a problem. I said, what's that? He said, we have no more turf. Wow. We're sold out of turf. I said, what? 6 miles of it, or 6 kilometres? He said, yeah, we're gone. And he said, we're sourcing turf from other turf farms to keep up. Just went nuts. So he only sent out 250 of the 500 leaflets. So when someone says to me, oh, well, the Happy Meal toy idea, that wow factor thing might not work for me, I just say BS. It'll work for anyone if you have the right Happy Meal toy. And this is the guy that owns the business.
Well, I guess it certainly did instantly improve our sales for our turf at that point in time. The numbers were fantastic, really. We ended up ceasing the promotion because we really ran out of turf. We were sourcing turf from other farmers. This was an exceptional result for us. And look, the numbers speak for themselves. We had a 40% increase immediately in that first month on those sales from the previous year for that same time frame.
So we're talking stupid numbers. I mean, this is a multi-million dollar business. So when he talks about 40% sales, and that's just in that same period, which is like a month. So, and of course the thing is, he had to then go and source turf from other farms. That same principle can work for you if you get the right Happy Meal toy and you know how to market it properly. This one's an interesting one. It's here in Sydney, and it's a client who came on last year, and he'd been open a little cafe which looked like this, opposite Channel 10 in Pyrmont. and it was a crepe cafe. He's a Greek guy, and this is all the rage in Greece apparently. It's a crepe that's in the shape of a cornetto or drumstick ice cream, and then they put the gourmet food inside, or strawberries and cream inside, whatever it might be. So that's what it looks like. And this is what he opened in Piermont, and it was going downhill, just wasn't working. And he said to me, look, can I join the pro? Can you fix this for me? And I said, yeah, how fast do you run? Because if people run fast with us, you know, we run fast with them. And he said, mate, I can run really fast. Store, so there's a photo of it there. I said, I've seen accountancy practices look more interesting than that. I said, have you ever been to Disneyland, walk down the main street and see what they do with their ice cream parlours and things like that? That doesn't look like a crepe shop. I mean, you should have seen the crepes with the strawberries and cream and stuff coming out there. It's just unbelievable. Just think of the most gorgeous chocolate sundae you've ever seen and multiply that by 10, and that's how he's presenting it. And it didn't help that he had an ISIS guy sitting outside for pretty much most of the day. I don't know what that was about. I think he was protecting the crepes. And so I said to him, okay, well, if that's the outside, let's have a look at the inside, because surely it would be better than the outside. And the inside, my click, okay, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got it, you got it. I said to him, where did you get the inspiration for your menu board? Central Station, maybe, the railway timetable? I couldn't believe it. I said to him, mate, you're suffering from severe dickheaditis. You can see the girl that works for you doesn't even want to be there, for goodness sake, you know. So he said, oh, okay, well, I'm a dickhead. Yes, you are. He said, well, please, God, JD, could you please fix this for me? I said, well, we'll just sketch something out quickly, and we can have this done in maybe 48 hours. So I sketched that out to look like, I've got a point down here, it won't work up there, okay? So that was the quick sketch. We just did it on like a bit of a, I think we're sitting down having a coffee, so I sketched out a bit of paper. I said, that's what your menu board should look like. And then I give it to this artist, okay? And here it is here, so that artist, and in 24 hours later, at a massive cost of about $180, this is his menu board. Wow, the operative word, okay? So can you imagine what that would do without any marketing to his sales? And then if you look at the before and after, we're going from Central Station timetable to something that's Walt Disney. And that just smashed the sales for him. He's opened now second one in Birkenhead Point, and he's about to open more of them, and it's because he now knows how to market. So then we have to look at the outside of his restaurant. God. Okay, so therefore that's what we've done on the outside of it. The ISIS guy won't leave, we don't know why. He will just stay there forever, okay? There's a sneaky guy on the telegraph pole here on the left-hand side checking out the ISIS guy. I'm thinking he could be secure. Now that's an artist mock-up, of course, that subsequently has been now put into place. And that's the before and after of that. Really, really simple when you know how. So it's all about the actual positioning of the brand. And that's the counter and so on. I want to show you this. If you're into the advisory business, which I am, you know what you ought to do? You ought to get all your IP and put it into a library and then sell the library. And that's what I've done. I've put all of the ideas that I've had that have worked over the last 15, 20 years. And don't tell me, oh, look, you're an old fart. Would most of those ideas be, you know, old world? No, they're not. I think I've demonstrated to you already that we're pretty up with the online world. And in fact, I think I would blitz any Gen Y when it comes to exploiting the online world properly instead of just posting what they had for breakfast. So therefore, the thing is that what I've done is created a website called Wow Central. And the guys who are in the front row here are part of my program. I think they'd probably testify to this. It's quite incredible. It's the largest ideas library, marketing ideas library on the planet. You won't see anything like this. So everything I've done for a butcher, a baker, candlestick maker, I've put into this library so that when people come into my program, if they can, you know, not contact me instantly, but they need an answer, they go into this website, and I'm just going to play you a little 4-minute tape, and they type in accountant. And bang, up will come everything that I've ever done for an accountant. We're talking direct mail letters, we're talking letterbox brochures, we're talking about any radio commercials if they happen to be in a country town and can afford that. If they happen to be a tree lopper, they'll just put in arborist and up will come all the stuff that I've done for tree loppers. It's quite incredible, and the reason I want to show this to you is not necessarily to show off, although it will show you the sort of stuff you get access to if you hang around with me, but also if you're in the ideas business or you're in the advisory business, create one of these for yourself. Now, mine's pretty big because I've been around a while, so therefore it was like a 2-year thing to put this website together. The guy that put it together, I nearly killed him. He said, mate, this is bigger than Google. You know? And I said, shut up, just put that stuff together. I'll play it, and then I'll show you how you should be doing it for your business. It goes for about 4 minutes. Welcome to WOW Central, what I believe is the largest marketing ideas client attraction concepts in the entire world. This is a massive library of ideas. When you log in, you simply go to the swipe menu, and on that swipe menu, I'll give you just a little intro of what WOW Central is all about. You've got two choices when you're searching for concepts in WOW Central. You can choose from marketing category or business type. Let's say, for example, you decide in the first instance you're going for business type. You might say, okay, I want to see what businesses are in here and what things I can swipe for my company. Let's say you're an accountant and you want to pinch ideas for the accountancy business. You'll see here that we've got all sorts of things that I've done for accountants over the years, videos, brochures, invitations to events, the direct mail letters. We're talking about Facebook advertising. You might, for example, say, okay, well, I'm not an accountant. Let's say that you're in the healthcare industry. You click on your weight loss business and say, okay, well, there's a weight loss brochure that JD's done for someone. It looks like Wesley, I think the Wesley Company is the name of the business. That looks pretty good. I can tell you that you want to swipe this one because it worked extraordinarily well. You'll see here that there's a business types that go from A to Z. Not many businesses that I have to look after. Now let's go back to the swipe menu because you've now decided that after business types, you might want to search by marketing category. That means Facebook ads or brochures or TV, radio, a marketing category. Could be, for example, showing you how to build repetitive trade, van signage, how to collect data, copywriting, how to create urgency in your advertising, how to create a marketing plan, how to create direct mail letters, how to do Facebook ads and creatives, how to get actual graphics and signage done, how to hold an event, which is a really important one, how to hold insured prize promotions, how to give away $1 million and only pay a few $1,000s for it. The point is that when you click on brochures, you want to learn how to put together a brochure. Well, you'll come through to a video tutorial by me, and I'll go through how you should put together a brochure. Okay, so let's have a look at the sort of brochures that I put together for various industries. You'll see there's a $50,000 giveaway one there. There's a brochure that actually talks about the adventure at Clearwater Island Fishing Lodge in this instance. It goes on and on and on. The whole idea is that you can get in and swipe ideas from lots of brochures here and maybe put one together for yourself. Okay, copywriting. Everyone wants to know how to write good copy because really at the end of the day you can't create a story if you're not being able to sell anything, okay? So what I'm here to do is to show you lots and lots of examples of effective copywriting. Keep in mind I'm putting samples in here that have really broken records. Things have actually worked really, really well. You know what? The real big one is this. The WOW Marketing Makeover marketing plans for a whole host of different businesses. Now we have scores and scores and scores of marketing plans that I put together for various businesses. Let's say, for example, a tree lopping business. Okay, now I know you might not be a tree lopper, but let's just say you were. You could get in, swipe the tree lopping marketing plans I put together for this company, everything, including the layout of their website and also the complete 12 months marketing plan that I put together for them. Just swipe it and use it for your own tree lopping business. Can you imagine the value in that? But of course, it's not just tree loppers we're talking about. I put marketing plans together for all sorts of businesses. In the world that I live in, direct response world, it's really, really important that I show you how you can actually use direct response marketing in your business. Therefore, we've created a section that gives you dozens and dozens and dozens of samples of direct response winning campaigns right through all sorts of industries. Okay, so therefore, let's say, for example, we go down the direct response path and we might pick Facebook. Okay, what I've done here is that Facebook advertising is great, but of course, if you don't put the right ingredients in, it ain't going to work for you. It doesn't matter what you say. So what we've done here is that we're showing you a whole host of different examples of how I've put together direct response Facebook ads for a whole host of clients. Because at the end of the day, it's great to say that Facebook's a wonderful medium, but it's all about driving massive prospect traffic to our landing page, collecting the data, and then doing a second step, that is the sell. It's called a two-step sell. Okay, so there you have it. WOW Central, the world's largest marketing ideas bank. It's there for you to swipe as many ideas from it as you like. The great thing here for you is that you can swipe ideas from any industry you like, transfer them into your business, and hopefully make a lot of money from it. Okay, who thinks that would be pretty valuable to be able to tap into 24/7? Okay. And okay, I'm showing off about the fact that we have it, but if you're in the advisory game, you should do it. And it may not be as massive as that. That took 2 years and, probably over 100 grand to put that website together. It's massive. It is huge. And it's there because if I'm going to have people come onto my program, I want to make sure that when they can't catch me, and they can most of the time by Facebooking me 24/7, but if I happen to be on a plane or something, they need an answer quickly, they can jump into that and just swipe whatever they want. Now, if you're in the advisory business, then think about you doing the same thing. I've got a lawyer in New Zealand at the moment who's putting together one of these for his clients who are in the construction business. So he looks after legal advice for people building Westfields and hotels and things like that. And he knows that the questions he gets asked from those people are much the same all the time. So therefore, if you get asked the same sort of questions, build something like that that becomes almost a Q&A for them. And it's an evergreen Q&A because you're updating it all the time. Okay, I've got to tell you this story. This is a great guy. His name, first of all, he's in Newcastle. He's a terrific guy. His name's Paul, and he's in the conveyancing game. And in the conveyancing game, of course, they're up against solicitors because a lot of solicitors do conveyancing when you're buying and selling a house. And he said what he wanted to do is create a relationship with real estate agents. And in fact, I had someone come up and, sorry, your name again was? Lloyd. Lloyd came up to me at the break and said that he's got a business which is a rubbish removal business, and he's anxious to build a relationship with real estate agents because they can give him multiple homeowners to sort of, tap into. And this guy was in the same game. He was in the conveyancing business, and we all need a conveyancer or solicitor when we're buying or selling a house. And he said, look, I want to build a relationship with real estate agents, but he said every time I knock on their door, not him personally, but his salespeople, they just get treated like hawkers and they wouldn't let them in. And I said to him, okay, you've seen my chocolate strawberry thing that I started the day with, which was a bit of a gag, of course. I said, why don't you actually go in, or get your sales guys to go into the girl at the reception desk of a real estate agent and say, look, I'd like to speak to the boss about how we can help with conveyancing issues, but I'd like to also give this to the boss. And that would be a beautiful box of chocolate-coated strawberries. And I said, you just watch what happens. That receptionist, who's obviously the gatekeeper from hell, she'll all of a sudden, instead of telling you to piss off, have to go and get the boss. He said, oh, that wouldn't work. I said, you watch it. And so he said, well, we won't do that. My wife happens to be the best cupcake maker in the world. So he just produced a little tray of 6 cupcakes in a box, like you get from a cake shop, and he had his salespeople go out and go to the door-to-door, go to the person at the reception desk and say, I'd like to speak to the boss, because once you get to the boss, it's all over. And guess what? 90% hit rate. The girl was not a chance would she say you can't see her, because if the boss found out she missed out on those 6 cupcakes, I think she'd kill the girl on the desk. And this is what happened to his business. These obviously comes to our 2-day events, which we have 3 times a year, and this is the case study that he just mentioned.
We've actually tripled our size of our business. We've grown in all aspects as far as staff, building size, client base, profit, everything. Direct response, we've done a lot of different ideas as far as cupcakes. We spoke to JD, we just thought it was like a bit of a gimmick thing at the start. But after talking to JD, we went in and really pushed forward the cupcakes, which has made a massive difference. We didn't think because cupcakes got nothing to do with our business. It's made a huge change. I've always had a problem with getting in the door with real estate agents. So how we come about using cupcakes is I use that as a softener to get in. So that was actually going to fix my problem to get in the door. With the cupcakes, it sort of dropped the guard of the actual agent that I was going in to see. By doing that, they felt more comfortable, I felt more comfortable, and things just happened from that. Conversation started, relationships started to build, so when the relationship started to build, our business started to flow, and the rest of history. So over a little cupcake, it's really changed our business. One idea is all it takes to change the business. Absolutely, I agree on that.
Okay. Now, number 3, problem solution. I'm going to duck through that quickly because I want to get in before we go to lunch, the website stuff, because I think that's very, very important. But this is important, okay? There's 5 sections to emotional direct response marketing. You'll notice a lot of this is based on that emotion word. Who's heard the phrase from real estate agents that we buy homes on emotion? Who's heard that? That's true, but we buy Crunchy bars and Magnum ice creams, and we buy just about everything on emotion. So it's not just real estate. And there's 5 components to this if you really want to get it right. Number 1, identify your prospect's problem. Have you got your home loan with the bank who are charging you fees and don't treat you like a person? They treat you like a number. Number 2, exaggerate the problem or aggravate it. Guess what? Those banks are going to continue to rip you off with all those fees and charges, okay? Number 3, this is the Greater Building Society thing, of course. Number 3, provide the solution, swap to the Greater Building Society, and not only will you not get charged all those fees, but also you get a free holiday. Number 4, provide proof, we swap to the Greater and we got a free holiday. And number 5, a strong call to action, go to greater.com or ring 13 30 86. Can you see how this works? Let's go through Jenny Craig. identify a prospect's problem. Are you overweight and you're not feeling really healthy? Number 2, exaggerate the problem. Do you know that summer's just around the corner? Do you want to look good in your swimsuit? Number 3, provide the solution. Come on the Jenny Craig program and look like Miranda Kerr within 4 weeks. Number 4, provide proof, which basically is our before and after shots of the person who was overweight. Now they look like Miranda Kerr. If they don't, show a photo of Miranda Kerr. And number 5, a strong call to action, and that is go to jennycraig.com. Okay? Do you see how this works? It'll work for Michael's business with his bench and helping people with a bad back. It'll work for every single person in this room. There is not a person in this room that this will not work for. And it's called problem solution marketing. And I'll give you an example. Panadol, they used to think that we cared about what was in the tablet. Oh, God, okay. Okay, they used to think that we cared about paracetamol. Do you notice how that throws me? Even a talkaholic like me, when stuff just gets screwed up. Okay, they used to think that we cared about paracetamol and codeine. I don't care if they put cocaine in there. I just want my headache gone in 10 minutes. And so now, because they're getting smarter with direct response, but not many people are, this mob, or Nurofen, I'm going to show you a Nurofen ad, are one of probably less than 5% of businesses around the world that use this. And Ralph, I'm not going to get you to grab the microphone again, but you would agree, wouldn't you, that really when you've used it, you've had no competition because 95% of people don't use direct response. Would that be fair to say? Absolutely. So therefore, could you say absolutely a bit louder?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Look, mate, get it right, or we will not have you as a plant in these seminars ever again, all right? Okay. He's not. He actually, we haven't seen each other for a couple of years. Okay, so therefore, paracetamol and codeine, yeah, it's on the box, but we don't much care. I just want my damn headache gone in 10 minutes, and I'm going to show you an advertisement, a TV ad. Here. No, I'm not. Okay. Okay. 5 nuns walk into a bar. Okay, so...
When you're suffering with the eggs.
No, I want to start there, but I've got a prelude. I thought there was a freeze frame that I could explain to you what I said. This is a school teacher. She's got a bunch of shitty little kids in the classroom. Every school teacher has. They're mucking around. They're little dickheads, and she's got a headache. And so what she does is she actually pulls a drawer out. She takes some tablets, and everything turns good. Okay. Now, when she is at the beginning of this ad, you'll see that the music is, and she's about 3 out of 10. She's not looking too attractive at all. Okay. She then takes the tablet. She's got lipstick, blush, she's gone to a 9 out of 10, and the kids are all well behaved. It's incredible what Panadol does for you, okay? So have a look at how this ad goes from shit to gold.
When you're suffering with the aches, pains and congestion of cold and flu, it can be a real struggle. Introducing Nurofen Cold and Flu. Its dual action works with your body to target aches and pains and helps clear nasal congestion. So to get on with your day, trust the dual action of new Nurofen Cold and Flu, available in pharmacies.
So the lesson for all of us, if we are ugly, just take Nurofen because we'll be better looking for it as well. I've got another one here, if this damn clicker would work. Okay, another one here. This is a weight loss TV ad, and it was incredibly successful, and you'll see why. Oh no, well, is it there or not? Okay, they've taken that slide off. These 5 nuns, when they walk into a bar, yeah. Okay, we'll come back to that. Okay, it's there 9 times out of 10.
Those ads, the 5 things that you were just talking about, the emotional responses, are they?
Pretty much. So let's go through. Yeah, good point. The question was that those 5 things, did they come through those ads? And let's just go through them. It's all right, guys. Yeah, no, it's all right. Number 1, identify the problem. Well, the problem is she's got a headache and the kids are little shits running around. Okay. Number 2, aggravate the problem. Do you notice then that they showed her with the cap on in the middle of winter and she's really so we worsened the problem. Number 3, provide the solution. Nurofen, you saw the box come on. Okay. Number 4, provide proof. All the kids are running around and she's much better looking. Okay. And the headache's gone. And number 5, call to action, go and get Nurofen, if you're an ugly school teacher. Yeah. Okay, so do we have that ad lined up or not? Okay, here we go.
I knew something had to change, and I was the only one that could do it. I was the only one that could change my life. And then I found the weight loss. All the diets I've ever been on never worked. This is working. My favorite part was how simple it was. I actually saw the person underneath everything. I loved the way I started looking. I felt beautiful. A whole new me, thanks to you.
Okay, so The lesson in that is that if you can get your person to cry, it's even better, okay? She wasn't, so we kicked her in the stomach. So you've got to do what you've got to do sometimes, but pretty powerful stuff nonetheless. Okay. Now, this lady here almost got it right. She came onto the program. She's a private coaching one, so she's paying $2,500 a month, and she's Australia's foremost expert when it comes to natural remedy of menopause, okay? And a lot of doctors will put you on, I think it's HRT, which has been deemed as causing early dementia and all sorts of side effects. And this lady's dead against that. So she shows you how to fix menopause naturally. And this was a double-sided brochure. So it was a double-sided brochure that she put out. And she'd taken in, you know, for the first month or two, everything that we've been teaching. And she came to one of our 2-day events and wanted me to showcase this because she was showing off. She left the stage crying because I bagged the crap out of her. And that's what I like doing. I just like making people cry. It's a gift. And so in this instance, she's a good mate now, by the way. She's as sarcastic as me, so we get on pretty well. She's incredible, by the way. This lady is 71 years of age, and she is the smartest lady. She looks like 20 years younger, and she is the smartest lady I've ever met. She was a doctor. She was a lawyer, and top lawyer, and then became a doctor. So, God, she is really smart. And her name's Maura, and so she put out this leaflet, which she was putting around the Gold Coast. She had a practice, a doctor's practice at Mermaid Beach, and her problem was that she was only 50% full. She wanted to obviously, you know, or something like that, 52, whatever it was percent. But I said, look, okay, we can fix this for you, and we can fix the full thing in a heartbeat. So we get you to 100% really quickly. But what do you charge at the moment for your consultancies? And she said $75 per 17 minutes. And she said normally if someone's got menopause, it'll take 5 or 6 or 7 visits to work them through it, but it's about $75 each time. I said, are you the #1 in Australia? She said, yep. I said, are you the Gordon Ramsay? She said, yes. I said, well, why do you have a brochure that makes you look like Kmart? If you're David Jones, why do you have a school tuck shop brochure? And she said, but I followed your system. I said, I know, you know, problem solution. You're suffering from mood swings and hot flushes and sweats. Well, now, are you a distressed 50-something-year-old woman? I'm the Steve Irwin expert. Come to me. You've done everything right. It just looks like a bag of shit. That's all. So therefore, when you put that out, you're not going to attract the right people. She said, who's the right people? I said, do rich women have menopause? Or do they get menopause? She said, yes. I said, good. You will never talk to another poor woman again with menopause. We're only going to look for the rich women, and what we're going to do is double your price. And she said, I beg your pardon? We're going to go from $75 to $150, and you will never talk to anyone who's wearing thongs or flannelette shirt ever again in your life, okay? So therefore, we're only going to put out a classier brochure into the suburbs in the Gold Coast that have rich women. It's called Message to Market Match. Remember what Ralph was talking about? You will not make money out of poor people. And I'm not saying you don't want to help them. Do Robin Hood and rob from the rich and give it to them if you like. But the fact is that you won't make money out of people on the Centrelink thing. Unless you are Radio Rentals, okay? Maybe. So therefore, did anybody dispute that? I'm being sarcastic, but anybody dispute it? Because I'll prove to you that's not the case. You cannot make money out of people who have no money. So what we did is we increased her prices from $75 to $150 per consultation. Yes, doubled. And we produced a brochure that would appeal to rich people. And in 48 hours, that brochure went from looking like that to that. Okay? So you would agree that that positions her as David Jones instead of Bilo, okay? And you'll see it's exactly the same words. There's no difference in the words there. Suffering from mood swings and da-da-da. And then we turned it into a 4-page brochure. Oh, God, this is going to kill me. Into a 4-page brochure. So therefore, you'll see on page 2, we have the problem, okay? Do you struggle with any of the following symptoms? And you'll see the ladies there are not particularly happy, but then they are happy on the other side, okay? So do you suffer from hot flushes and sweats? I was writing this copy at the time. I've got a whole bunch of copywriters now, but they do the same thing under my direction. Do you suffer from hot flushes and sweats, mood swings, tears and frustration, low libido, suffering sex life, foggy brain, scattered thinking, forgetfulness? When I was halfway through the copy, I realised I had menopause. And so what I did with her was a door deal. She didn't have to pay any more. I got rid of my menopause. I'm much better now, okay? Although I still do have the suffering sex life, so I'm not sure whether she helped in that. Okay, so therefore page 2 and 3 and then page 4 is that. And so therefore if you look at the before and after, oh dear, okay. I'll sketch it up for you, might be quicker, yeah. Okay, there you go. Okay, so there's the before and after. Can you see there that on the right-hand side you are going to attract more people with money? So simple, okay? So it's message to market match. Because it's one thing for you to sit there, and I know that today there'll be a whole bunch of people that'll sit here when I do my pitch for my program, which I think is affordable even for a startup. But when I do that, there's a whole bunch of people here that will say, oh, you know what, I've got enough out of today. He didn't let me take photographs, but I've got the hang of this now. Problem, solution. It's not just that, it's the execution. And I think one of the things that we bring to the table is this Rolodex list of people who do this for us, and they do it fast. Because that happened I can't say this, it's going to happen for you in 48 hours, but it happens pretty quickly. There is one person who's got a question there. If we can just put your hand up really high. We won't take too many questions, but I will take this one. Can we get someone that might have a microphone? We'll just run the microphone through to you. We'll take questions afterwards, but I will take this one just for the moment. Unlike a lot of other people, you look like a nice person. Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah.
May I take a photo of this one flyer, please?
Oh, that's all you're asking. Yeah. Yeah. You want to break the rules? No. So anyway, yeah. No. By all means, take a photo. Yeah.
Thank you.
Take it. It was you're well mannered. Yeah. Which doesn't say much for the rest of you, by the way. Where I've seen you doing click click like that. Yeah. Yeah. So if you can take a quick photo of that, and then we'll move on. But that's very very well mannered of you. Yeah. Okay. You know what? Out of all the people here today, you would be my favourite person. All right? Yeah. If you don't buy into the program, I hope you die in your sleep. But at the moment, you're my favourite. Okay. Sorry?
My name is Usha.
Usha. Yep, thank you. How do you pronounce it?
U-S-H-A.
Usha. Terrific. Well, remember that name as being my favourite. Again, if you don't buy into the program, well, I'll never talk to you again for the rest of your life. Yeah. Okay, so in this instance here, this is Dr. Mora's previous website. And you'll see there it was a pretty dodgy little video in front of a bookcase, and there was little pastel colours. And does that make her look like the Gordon Ramsay of the fictional menopause industry? No. Okay. So therefore, we decided that her website had to change. And so, oh God, every time I click this, it goes 2 slides forward. By the way, there you go. So we've got the power red happening. This was well before Donald Trump's red tie, but red tie. So there, of course, we've positioned her into a more of a David Jones sort of scene. And this is what she's got to say about the transformation. Okay, so therefore...
It has been huge. My income in practice has tripled. No jokes. Tripled since we started this. Direct response marketing is an integral part of our design system. I never thought a marketer could resonate with a women's hormone practice, talking about dry vaginas and lack of libido. And managed to put together this amazing professional website that talks exactly to the symptoms that my clients need to hear. It's fantastic.
Okay. Young fella, yeah, exactly. Yeah, young fella here is telling me it's a delay on the click, but it's like a half-hour delay on the click. It's sort of it's sort of like, I don't know. It's sort of like being in a pension home. Okay, so here we go. There's the click. Right up. This one here is Tile Rescue. Came on board again, a private client. This guy, so he's paying a few extra dollars, but nonetheless, he got his value. He decided that thank you, JD, for all of this, but I've got a son-in-law who is not only a web designer, because we all have son-in-laws who are web designers, but also is a sign expert. So therefore, he's going to show us how to do the car. Now, by the way, you're not going to make a lot of money out of sign writing your car, so don't get too fussed over this. This is not my big rock, okay? So I advise people, for God's sake, don't spend too much time on the signage of your vehicle, because it's not going to make you rich. Spend more time on Facebook and everything else that you do. But nonetheless, if you're going to have signage on your vehicle, don't make it a business card. You notice how most people just put, Fred Nurk's Plumbing Service, www.frednurksplumbingservice.com. That's it. Well, if it's going to be a mobile billboard, then turn it into a sales billboard. And this is what he did. And of course, it's just awful. And I said, well, that is the worst I've ever seen. Have you got any other photos? He said, oh, wait till you see the back. Oh, God. Okay. It goes two. It goes two. It doesn't go one at a time. So therefore, this is the back. Okay, so that's the back. Just as bad. And I said to him, okay, do you want to fix that? And again, what we do is we introduce him to, I think it was this artist, okay, this guy here. And I'm only showing that to you so you know the Rolodex list that we've got are pretty versatile. And then he turns it into this. I've clicked it once and we're waiting. Okay, let's click it twice. There you go, okay. We could be here maybe till midnight, because every time I click this, it takes 30 seconds for the slide to come up. So you'll see there, the psychology behind that is, I clean tiles. When you want coffee these days, you don't get out of your car. You go through the drive-through. Nobody buys a block of land and builds a house anymore. We want the home and land package. We're in a fast world. If it doesn't download on our laptop within like seconds, we throw it out the window from the 51st floor. So we are living in this fast world. So therefore, when I asked him, okay, we've got the shit to gold story, which of course Photoshop's wonderful for, okay? And what we want to find out is what is the motivator for most people when it comes to cleaning their tiles. He said they're having a dinner party, they're having a function, and they're going to be embarrassed when their friends come around. I said, good. So we need to use embarrassment as the launch pad for getting people to do stuff. So you'll see underneath the before and after there, what does it say? Are you embarrassed? So that's the whole idea of it. And if I could just show you the before and after. Okay, the before and after. Does anybody want a part-time job? Yes. Okay, so therefore, there's the before and there's the after. Which one do you think, if you pulled up at a set of traffic lights, you might take some interest in? And again, I'm not saying for a moment that car signage is going to make you a millionaire, but if you're going to do it, you may as well do it properly. And I've shown real estate agents, if they change their real estate signage from "we sell houses," do you? To "do you want your home sold in 30 days?" then they will skyrocket their listings, or at least certainly their inquiries for listings, like 100-fold. Okay, and I think we might even have one here coming up. It should come up in about half an hour. You'll see this. Okay, I've got to show you this one. This is interesting, not real estate. This guy, that's the after. We haven't got the before. I don't think he even had signs before. But if you're selling locks and he was selling locks, then basically what you want to do is show a bad guy, because you're selling security. You're not selling locks. Look at the solution. You're selling peace of mind. And in this instance, this guy used to send out letterbox brochures. I've clicked twice, nothing's happening. Okay, so this is what he used to send out. Now, I don't have the original artwork. This was a couple of years ago, and I wished I'd kept it, but I've resketched this up to show you the transformation. This is what he used to put in letterboxes on the Sunshine Coast. And when he put that out, it looked something like that. He was a locksmith, so he thought that he had to show a photo of locks. I said to him, mate, you're a dickhead. Okay? You're not selling locks. He's selling, it starts with peace. You're selling peace of mind. So we changed these letterbox brochures into door hangers, and we put 10,000 door hangers out. And again, I don't have my brochure, but I've resketched it up so you can see what we did. We then completely catapulted his business, melted his switchboard. He had to stop all the advertising because he was only a two-man band. He couldn't keep up with it. It happened instantly. Not building a brand over 4 years and then they would come. This was instantly overnight because the door hanger was on their handle when they came home that night from work. This was the door hanger. I called in whilst you were at work. You obviously weren't home, but I'll be back tonight. And then on the back of that door hanger, was all the details of his locks and the fact that he can protect your family. Don't think I'm evil, Dr. Evil. Don't think I'm Dr. Evil, because I was only that far away from actually having that guy carrying out 2 children. So, you know, I could have gone much worse, much worse. So do you see that, you know, at the end of the day, it's all about providing the solution to their problem. It's not about, this is no better, by the way, but anyway. It's not about, I think I might just get you to click it because this ain't working. Yeah, I'll just go, next. Yeah. Okay, so you'll see the before and after there. It's, yeah, it's just chalk and cheese. And can you remember at the beginning of the day when I told you how we sold aluminium fencing by simply putting a Facebook campaign out there in the suburbs and just said it's the ugliest back fence in Australia contest? Take a picture of your ugly falling down paling fence and post it to our Facebook page and you could win an aluminium fence. We had to turn that off in 3 days because the guy that was selling aluminium fences collected so many prospects it was not funny. It's about flushing those people out. We do it with kitchens, by the way. We run the ugliest kitchen, I think I mentioned that earlier today, the ugliest kitchen in the world. But you can do it almost for anything. If you know how to create avalanche traffic and send them to a landing page, these days the sky's the limit. Okay, yeah, do another one? Okay. This happens to be real estate, and as I mentioned to you there before, that industry really freaks me out. Okay, there's a guy called Glenn Twiddle who runs a lot of real estate seminars, and he gets me to speak at some of these seminars and talk to real estate agents. Because most of them are not marketers, they're imposters, okay? And in this instance here, this is the idea I told you beforehand. If this was slipped under a door tonight into 10,000 homes on a real estate agent's farm area, then their phone would ring off the hook tomorrow. And all they have to do is get 2 or 3 little, just basically monkeys for God's sake, and go through RP data and put in the value of all the houses, all 10,000 of them in their farm area. And I'm being facetious, it might be 1,000 to start with, it might be 500, but it's certainly better than putting out a leaflet saying, we've got buyers in your areas, we're looking for listings. Yeah. Okay? You come home tonight and that's under your door, and it looks like a Commonwealth Bank cheque on one side, and it says $1.45 million is what we've valued your house at. And asterisk, RP data, of course, it, you know, might be a variable, but that's based on RP data, which is a software system that tells us the value of homes in your area, blah, 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 but that's in, you know, small type, this, you know, B-stick. And then on the other side, it tells you all about their agency and why they're the guys to go to. Now, in this instance here, you'll see they're baby boomers. And therefore, the headline is, the dollar figure on the other side is a genuine estimate of the value of your home. If this appraisal figure is a nice surprise, you might like to take advantage of the current price boom. And it goes on to say, if your children have left home and you're a baby boomer, then why don't you downsize and actually put money in the bank? And then if we, next one if you don't mind, if we actually go to the next one, that happens to be a young family, we do exactly the same thing, but we flip the whole story and say, do you want to maybe cash in on the house at the moment and, you know, go to a bigger house because your kids are growing. So it's really, really simple. Next! Okay, well, there you go. Well, that's the bank. So therefore, they would have just 2 or 3 monkeys, and they'd just be filling out that. It's got to be written out in Texter, okay? It's got to be bold. So when they come home, they open up the door that night, they pick this up and go, shit, this is what my house is worth. I better contact that real estate agent. This is a surprise. But no, what the real estate agents do, because they're suffering from decaditis, is send out 10,000 leaflets to say, would you like an appraisal? Don't ask them if they like an appraisal, just give it to them. When you guys came in this morning, did I say to you, would you like to hear me speak to... No, I'm just, whether you like it or not, you're hearing this stuff, okay? Okay, next. This is what one agent did. We just simply, you know, made him put his car to look like that, so want to sell your home in 30 days. He said that just when he had that parked outside his real estate agency in the Barossa Valley, in South Australia, he picked up something like 6 listings, not appraisals, listings in the first fortnight from people pulling up, seeing his car outside, walking in and saying, I want to speak to the guy who sells homes in 30 days. And he said to them, quite rightly, look, I can't guarantee, I'm just saying that I've sold a home or 2 in 30 days. They go, fine, it doesn't matter. If you're that good at marketing, I want you to market my home. So they're not silly. Okay, next one. Again, that's what fine. And this is him, by the way.
From a rookie real estate agent to the business development marketing manager of a chain of furniture and retail stores, just a few years.
Yeah, I wouldn't have pictured it. And I have to give a lot of credit to the coaching that I've received from John Dwyer. Being part of his WOW Academy program, pretty expensive to be a part of, the information that you get. Just a massive amount of information that has taken me from someone who just first had a look at marketing, thought it was interesting, to now completely revolutionise the way that I think. Just some real basic concepts in the marketplace, or when they are used by businesses, just skyrocket their success. You know, taking the eye off the price. You know, instead of discounting, is that you're able to bring customers in. As a real estate agent, all of a sudden I wasn't price discounting, my commission wasn't discounted. Just a real key concept that I've learned from John Dwyer. Sampling, you know, don't spend tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, or in some cases millions of dollars to get people to fall in love with your brand, to hopefully they'll come along and buy something off you. The sampling's made a significant difference, especially in my position here now. Closed Facebook forum, you know, just a great resource. Just if you've got a question, if you've got some marketing material, you just upload it and have JD critique it. And as he sometimes says, he turns waves his hand over and turns shit to gold, which is very true. So yeah, if you've ever got any doubts about being involved with JD's WOW Academy, just do it, or just attend one of his seminars. Just one idea will completely cover your investment. Okay, so that's Mark Battersby from Adelaide. Just so you know what this Facebook forum looks like when people come involved in our thing, that happens to be a property investment advisor. He shows that to me and says up the top of it, any and all feedback welcome. Thanks, JD, and everyone in this group. So I have a look at that because that's a Facebook ad that he thinks that he'll make money out of. And so then I actually come back to him and I say, Simon, perhaps the sample Facebook ad layout put together for another client, the same space for you guys, might be helpful. So I've actually given him a layout for another client there and shown him how he should do it. Here's another example. If we can, I'll just have to yell out next, I guess. This is a Big 4 caravan resort, which is like a 5-star caravan resort down in Melbourne. So they just asked for some advice there, and you'll see up the top there significantly more storytelling than your current site. Only one thing, perhaps it might be worth testing a mini pic of people inside the luxury accommodation, maybe on the far left of the top panel. Sometimes I'll even do a sketch and put it in there. This was like midnight, so I couldn't get around to doing it. Can we come back a slide? No. Can we come back a slide? So you'll see there what I'm saying
is that up around that area there, what we should be doing is moving both of those wonderful resorts, you know, like you don't expect a caravan park to have this sort of stuff, so it's an upmarket resort, move them to the right. We're not much interested in that there, so move them to the right, and then here, put in a little square which would show the inside of the resort. Who thinks that having a look at the inside, yeah, exactly. So therefore, that's what would happen on the Facebook when you come involved. If you've got a question like that, we'll just zap through a couple of others so you can just see what we've got it here. Okay, that one there. Oh, this is an interesting one. M asked from that holiday resort, the caravan park, look, we want to get people who are in the local area of Queenscliff in Victoria just to come and check the park out locally, because we've got a day spa and we've got tennis courts, we've got all these sorts of things we can make money out of just with local people. How do we get local people during school holidays? And I said to her, get Batman to get them for you. I've done this a million times. So there's a whole bunch of shopping centre shows out there that feature Batman and Superman and Spider-Man and Wonder Woman and all that sort of stuff. So you'll see here, and by far the cheapest and most appealing wows I've seen for children is borrowing the equity of huge superhero cartoon characters in the form of shows, or perhaps a 2-week celebration called Superhero Expo. You could certainly make a splash if you turn it into a superhero festival, blah, blah, blah. I give her the links there of the companies that I've dealt with who do kids' party shows. They've already taken out the licence to use Warner Brothers characters. You don't have to worry about it. And so that's exactly what she's done now. The next school holiday she'll be doing that. And so on and so forth. You'll see there I do layouts for people when they actually need a layout for an A4 brochure. Same thing. I won't go through too many more of them. I'll just let that click through. But that is, I think, an unbelievable resource, because I virtually become your go-to person when you need some help. By the way, for anyone watching on Facebook Live, we're going to wrap this up in about 20 to 30 minutes for people to go to lunch. And if you're interested in anything on Facebook Live and you don't get to see me do the sell, just go to wantmoreclients.com.au. So therefore, if you want us to talk to you, these guys are going to hear the sell here. But if we run out of time and on Facebook Live you don't get to see what the program's all about, just go to, I'm reading it out from here, wantmoreclients.com.au. And you can book, you can see how everything works there. You just book a call with Jodie and she'll run through it with you. Okay, so therefore, let's move on. I want to get to the, keep going. Oh, well, yeah, come back to the one with the dentist surgery, if you don't mind. Okay, so the guy, JD, oh, okay, we were there a moment ago. JD just mocked up a quick colour change. This is an orthodontist down in Melbourne, and I said to him that, look, I don't know what he's been smoking, but it's pretty heavy stuff, because that was his dentistry surgery. Orthodontists, by the way, charge $7,000 for braces, and his target market are children. And yet that was the image that he was presenting, and this sign here, you can't see it properly, but it looked like it was a $2 shop. So I've made sure that we showed children, remember, show your target audience in your ad? And these children have got braces, and we zipped up the look and feel of the entrance and so forth. You're not getting a great perspective on it there, but that was an artist mock-up. Okay, we can keep going. Oh, stop there. This guy here's got a karate clinic, and this was only the other day. Was it January 17th, okay? So, hi, wowpreneurs. It's a little stupid name we give each other, okay? Can I have some thoughts on this one, please? I said to him, is this the first time you've vomited today? Because you've just put as much shit on there as you possibly can. First of all, Facebook will never let that happen, because there's a 20% text rule on Facebook. So therefore, if you're putting an image ad up, they will only let you put 20% text on there, because they want to stop people throwing up like that, okay? And he actually has the idea, free sampling for kids to come along to karate courses. What do you think the big problem is there? He's showing kids, so we got half of what I've been preaching, put your target audience in the ads, but what do you think they're doing? It's certainly not karate. They're throwing a spasm. I don't know what they're doing. These kids are just out of control. They've had too many red freaking frogs. So I said to him, no, when I say put your target audience in the ad, we want to see them, doing the karate, whatever it might be. Oh, okay. Yes, that's what you do. So therefore, you don't see it there, but I think we've got there. I can't read it myself there. It's not big enough, but I've sketched up these kids here, because I sent him an actual photo as well, are actually karate kicking in the course. So I'm just saying to him, you haven't specified if this would be a pay-per-click Facebook or a post, because I thought, is that pay-per-click or is it a post? Well, it's pay-per-click, and you won't get away with that. So anyway, cut a long story short. What I'd like to do now is move on to the next section, which is the website. So I want to knock that over before we... Okay. Now, who at the moment, after what I've said today, thinks that maybe their homepage on their website might need some help? Okay, good. I know someone who can help you, okay? All you got to do is put a whole bunch of cash in a brown paper bag, give that to Jodie down the back. Okay, so I'll try and get through this quickly for you. Communications, really, that we've got out there, of course, is website, Facebook, social media. This is what you need your website, your homepage to have. Okay, this happens to be in Warriewood in New South Wales, Sydney here, and it's a Crazy Monkeys Playhouse. So what will happen, I'll show you how fast we do this, but this layout was put together for them in about 5 minutes, and I think it would have a significant difference to their business. So first of all, the problem, do you need before or after school care for your child? A little bit too fast. Then what we do is we provide the solution. We'll come to the Cheeky Monkey Playhouse. Then we have a welcome video, and it's from the people showing you that kids are being dropped off for the morning, they're having a great lot of fun in the afternoon, and then when you go and pick them up, surprise, surprise, they're still there. And then we give them a free report, the 5 top tips on keeping kids occupied after school. Give us your details and we'll give you the free report. Then we say, look, just don't take our word for it, we'll actually have video testimonials. And I know you might think you can't get video testimonials, but I'll show you how to get them and get them really easy and good ones. We don't want ones that, oh look, I love being involved with the JD program because his dad jokes are just amazing and it's just nice to meet other people. Dun, dun. You're not going to make my website, okay? I want you to say that your life was shit, you were making no money, and then when you got into this stuff, David Copperfield, you got a much better life, and now, for whatever reason, you're a chick magnet, okay? So that's the sort of thing. You want a before and after story. And then if you're not convinced by then, we give you the call of action. So that is obviously to ring us or contact us. So let me just take you through a couple of transformations here and I'll show you how all that works. This was an orange orchard down on the border of New South Wales and Victoria, and they were called Squeeze, and that was the homepage of their website. Now if you're an orange orchard, which means that it's fresh from the farm, we pick the oranges and it comes straight from the farm, do you think that that would be a better image than a big, gigantic, killer bottle of plastic orange juice? Because I don't think that when I look at that, I'm going to go, oh, orange juice in a plastic bottle. Who would have thought? Oh, I've never seen that before. We have to buy this person's orange juice. No, it's a person suffering from dickheaditis, right? So therefore, I say, well, let me show you how that should look. And so I do a quick sketch and say, look, okay, we're going to really highlight the country practice thing. That you've come from the farm, the oranges come from the farm, and 100% fresh orange juice. We've got organic, not quite organic, but close to it. We have no added sugar, we have no concentrate, no imports. You go get berry orange juice, you've got all these bad things in there. The 3 big reasons, why you should be buying from us, and then look at the size of the bottles. They pay a very insignificant, we know what a plastic bottle looks like. That's not the sell, okay? Remember I talked about before, the product, sometimes the photo of your product is not the sell. It's the benefits that your product gives them. Gail, my wife, tells me throughout life she's had dry skin, so she uses Roche skin repair, is that it? And whatever it is, okay. But the thing is that these idiots that run this Roche skin repair thing, they just have these gigantic signs inside their pharmacies, in front of with a gigantic tube of cream. No, they should be showing someone with dry skin and then not dry skin. Okay, so therefore, then that goes to that. We always have any websites that we actually refurbish. There is a rule, have to have someone in a tight top. It doesn't matter what business you're in, we just have to have that as I'm sorry. So therefore, then we show the family, they're on the farm, that's the father, that's the lady who's a member, and then that's it. So if I put before and after, who thinks the one on the right might just sell more orange juice? Yeah. Can you see one is storytelling and the other one is just a picture of a gigantic bottle? Okay. Another one. Lightning Ridge opal mine. In Lightning Ridge, basically the town is full of opal mines. And I said to this guy when he came on board, he's a good mate now, Greg his name is, most people when they come on board end up becoming mates. The other people who haven't got a sense of humour end up hating me. Most of them become mates. And this is what the signage was leading to his walk-in mine. And I said, mate, I don't know what you're smoking, but I definitely want some of this. Why have you only got half people? What, a full person can't get in? And I said, the only consoling thing about your sign is better than the dickheads around you. I mean, look at their signs, So anyway, I said to him, look, sorry, too fast, but anyway, I said to him, show me what your website looks like, because it couldn't be any worse than the sign. We'll get the homepage of his website. And I said to him, now, your walk-in mine, what do you call it as a tourist attraction? What do you call it? And he went, a walk-in mine. I went, of course you would, yeah. Okay, so you are really suffering from moronitis, so we have to fix this. So the next slide you'll see, and we'll just freeze frame it for a second, but when I do these sketches, normally they're 4 or 5 minutes, but this is 45 seconds, so we don't bore you. What we've done here is we've created a $50,000 contest as well. So when you go through his mind versus the other 4 in town, at the end of it you come out, you get a little scooper, and you scoop into the sand pit, and if you come up with an opal, you're in the chance to win $50,000. He doesn't give away the $50,000, an insurance company gives that away, and it's cost him $1,100 for the premium. Because what happens after the month or 2 or 3 or 6 that he runs a promotion, we draw one person out, they're invited to come to his boardroom, and there's 250 envelopes on the table. There is a scrutineer from the insurance company there, and inside one of the 250 envelopes is $50,000. And so if they pick the right one, they walk away with the 50 grand. If they pick one of the 249 other envelopes, they win a Gold Coast holiday or whatever it is as the minor prize. The reason I bring this up to you is this sort of artificial stimulus is available for everyone. I can give you $1 million for 16 grand. So Channel 9 don't give away any of that money on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Eddie McGuire gives none of that away. That's all given away by an insurance company. And the premium is based on the difficulty of questions. Well, in this instance, there's no questions, so the premium is based on the number of envelopes, okay? So you can get $500,000 for 8 grand, you can get $250,000 for $4,000. Can you imagine the stimulus you could have for your business if you said, you buy from me, or you even just give me your data. Just give me your data and enter something, and you're in the chance to win $250,000. That'll be the best $4 grand you could ever spend. So in this instance here, we've added $50,000, and it just blitzed all the other opal mines in town. I have to wear a bulletproof vest if I ever go there. They're not real happy. And this is how quick we... So when you have a website designer that takes months and months and months to put together a wireframe, have a look how it can be done in 45 seconds. The web page for the Lost Treasure Opal Mine Adventure. What I normally do is sketch out the layout in pencil, then I put my black pencil, as you can see here. Now we've ripped a piece out of the treasure map and put the big heading right in, which is leading attraction, the Lost Treasure Opal Mine Adventure. Of course, there's the introductory video. Second panel is all about the chance to win $50,000, because not only will you enjoy yourself going through this adventure, you could walk away with $50,000. Then the next panel is all about what the adventure is all about. So therefore we go through 1, 2, 3, 4 panels and explain to them exactly what they're going to experience when they come into this adventure, so it's not a secret. Then we have adventurers giving us their video testimonials, telling you just how great it is. And the final panel would probably be just highlighting further why it's an attraction for all ages and for the whole family. So once again, you can see it's got all the components of the direct response mantra that I suggest. It's got the big headline, it's got the welcome video, it's got a big prize to give away, and it's got video testimonials and explains to everyone what they're going to experience in this adventure. Okay, so therefore I give that to my art studio, the website designers, and then they turn that into this. It'd be great if we could kill the lights, but we don't have any lights, do we? Okay, so therefore that's what it turns into. We'll just scroll down the page. Okay, so you'll see all my layouts just turned into an adventure website. And the reason we've done this, before I show you the before and after, is because we wanted to widen the funnel. Because the people that he had coming into his opal mine that would put the little cap on with the little torch, basically we're in God's waiting room, okay? So he had the grey nomads with the caravans come through, they put the little thing in and they go through the whole thing, and as they're going underground, I couldn't do it, I'm claustrophobic, but they go underground, they'd see the little, you know, sort of B-grade audio animatronic figures with the little pick and shovel going, it was not quite Pirates of the Caribbean, all right? But nonetheless, he had these people who were in their caravans going through, and I said, mate, we've got to sexy it up and turn it into Disney. And that's what we did. And so therefore what we did is that we've turned that into a Disney adventure, you know, and you can see that, and we've widened the funnel. And by widening the funnel, anybody want to take a stab at what I mean by that? Widening the audience. So we don't want people in God's waiting room, we want people with children. Why do we want people with children? Because if we sexy it up and make it sort of, you know, adventure, then there's a chance we're going to get 4 ticket sales, not 2 or 5 or 6 or whatever it might be. So therefore, that's the before and after. As I said, if the lights were killed, we'd see a much more dramatic change, but nonetheless, that's what he used to have and that's what he had. The results from a turnover point of view were just stunning, because all of a sudden he's attracting more people. And this is Greg, who owns the business. He's a good mate now, and he was really glad that this whole campaign metamorphosised his business, because his male modelling career was not taking off. And so therefore I'll get him to tell you how successful it was.
James transformed our whole business with just one idea. The transformation, as I said before, it is just amazing, the transformation, not even in the same class, and it's put us in another category where we've actually attracted a larger, wider range of customers. Our audience that comes to us, our customers that come to us now is far bigger than it was before, which is what JD talks about, widening the funnel, and that's made a major difference to our business.
Okay, so therefore you can see what happens when you widen the funnel. Okay, so social media, before we stop for lunch, I just want to go through the social media thing for you, because I'm sure anybody here has anyone advising them on social media, which of course is the new black, the new organic. Anybody here has someone advising them specifically on social media? Okay, and would I guess those people are probably under 30? Yeah. Okay, most of them are, Well, yours might not be, but most of them are. And anyone here who's a Gen Y or millennial, whatever we want to call them, will probably hate me for saying this, but the thing is that my view is that most of them come from a background or from an experience of that building the brand, and so therefore they will tell you to put a lot of stuff in there that's building your brand, and because that's convenient for them because it's not measurable. It means when you say, I'm not selling anything, we don't have any food on the table, they say to you, but you got 112 likes. Wow. Well, that's good. I'll say to my hungry kids tonight when there's no food on the table, you know what, we've got no money, but I've got 102 likes, okay? So it's not about that. It's all about making the cash register ring. And what I want to show you is how that happens if you do it properly. Now, that's the sort of ads that I put out. Obviously, I'll use the Seinfeld gag, or I'll use the one that you might have clicked. I'm not sure which one you click. They click on that on Facebook, and then they come through to a registration page, and then they click that, and they register for what you're at here. This happens to be a client in Vanuatu, and this client owns a 5-star resort called the Havana Resort, and he had the shits because Expedia had just put their prices up in terms of commission. And he said, bloody What If and Expedia and all those people, and I'm sick of their prices. I said, well, why don't you look after it yourself, you dickhead? And I said, you've only got 25 bureaus and you charge $1,200 a night for them, so it's rich chief executives that hang out at this place. And most of the people that he gets are from the east coast of Australia. But guess what? The reason we go there, we love it. I mean, obviously he's a client, so therefore, he comes on board. I'm going to make up excuses to have meetings with him. Whereas, you come on board, I'm sorry, grandmother died, I can't see you for maybe another 6 months. But if you have a resort, I'll be there to see you quite a bit. So therefore, this guy here is a private client, so therefore he gets me whenever he wants me. 2 hours flight from Brisbane is Vanuatu. 2 hours flight. So therefore, Fiji is about 3 and a bit, so therefore, why wouldn't you jump on a plane and go to this instead of anywhere else? And I said to him, well, okay, if you want to stop Expedia and all that sort of stuff, then why don't you take over your marketing yourself? And he said, well, what would I do? I said, Facebook, you idiot. And just in Brisbane to rich people, and rich people who have got time poor. So you're going to be chief executives. And he goes, right, okay. So I said, what we'll do is put together a campaign. Now I'm going to show you the Facebook ad that we did. We spent $997 and turned it off 4 days later because it was booked out for 3 months, okay? And I'll show you what the ad was. Sometimes if you don't need words, don't put words. This is a video Facebook ad, and I just sat down and thought about it. You know what, 2 hours to Vanuatu. What's 2 hours from Brisbane the other way? Melbourne. Okay, so this was the ad that we put up, and we gave them the choice. Okay, so let me play the ad, and you'll see why he melted his website pretty quickly. Now that was the Facebook video ad. Who wants to go to Melbourne? No. Okay. Righto, so therefore basically then I sketch up what a landing page would look like, because we want them to